I'm Dan Martin, and this is the road code race analysis of Stage 5 of the Tour of Britain. We are starting and finishing in the town of Felixstowe, a stage that once again has bunch sprint written all over it. I've seen a lot of comments from people asking why teams don't just go all in, go for broke and try to derail the Jumbo-Visma train. My answer is twofold. Firstly, all the World Tour teams present have a strong sprinter that they believe in. Otherwise, they wouldn't have bought into the race. And simply to be a sprinter, you need to be headstrong, which means they go into every stage that's a possibility to finish in a sprint, believing that they can win. Otherwise, they won't take the risks necessary to get a result. The second reason is simply the course. It's been very flat until now, which is that it doesn't really give much launch pad or opportunity for attacking riders. But the week of racing is also heavily loaded to the final weekend. The stage is getting progressively harder as the week goes on, culminating in a hard Stage 8. And while everybody's on the same time on GC, there is no reason to roll the dice and go for broke when the stakes are still so high and they have a chance of winning. As the stage got going, I think we all wanted to see a more aggressive bike race. When a team has won multiple stages in a race, it always gives them the tactical upper hand. Not only do they have the confidence that they have the best lead-out trainer and sprinter in the race, there is sometimes a fear among other teams that they will just let a breakaway go and force the other teams to work by saying, hey, look, we've already won stages. If we don't win today, we don't really care. But in this case, they've also got Wout van Aert, who's looking to win the GC. So there's less danger of that happening. And they also just seem so confident in their ability that they took it upon themselves again to control all the attacks. And this time the peloton did not make it easy. Bora Hansgrohe and X team especially making it hard work with multiple attacks from strong riders. The Jumbo-Visma team were again up to the task, even when it took around about 30 kilometers of aggressive racing for the break of the day to form. I found it quite ironic that with all the talk on how to beat Jumbo-Visma and about the route really favouring their team, that it was the course that nearly beat them today. For a team that's so well prepared, they made an uncharacteristic error, taking the right-hand side of a traffic island that meant that they'd rejoined the peloton in very last position, with the whole team back there, with just 8 kilometres to go. The final kilometres of Stage 5 were definitely more straightforward than the previous days, although at one point the road looked blocked in front, as all the teams jockeying for position. It wasn't too easy for the Jumbo-Visma sprint train to get back to the front. The peloton was ripping along at high speed, with a tailwind pushing the riders into a double left turn, one at 900 metres to go and another around about 800 metres to go. This seemed a tailor-made course for the Wout van Aert Olav Koy pairing, and I'm surprised that other teams didn't try to bolt them out of the way, but it seems nobody has the horsepower to match Nathan van Hooydonk and Eduardo Affini, as they simply put down the power and rode to the front of the group to lead into the final left turns. It was a situation that a lot of the sprinters behind would have been content with. After the final left turn with 800 metres to go, it was an arrow straight run to the line with a light headwind. They would have been happy to have seen Wout van Aert left as a sole lead-out man for Olav Koy with 900 metres to go, knowing that he would accelerate out of the final left, and hopefully with that headwind they would have the opportunity to finally beat Olav Koy in a straight drag race for the line. This can perhaps explain why they didn't really meet much opposition in the fight for position into those last two turns. After a week of scripted racing, the unexpected happens.
He attacked and held on for 900 metres to take a solo win.
I was watching Eduardo Affini here as he finished his turn. With 1 kilometre to go, he doesn't stop and get out of the way like a normal lead-out guy would. He seems to make sure that he's riding level with Olav Koy going into the turn. This is when you notice the difference in speed between Wout van Aert, Olav Koy and Eduardo Affini, allowing Wout van Aert to take that gap. They were of course relying on the fact that the other sprinters had used their lead-out men to position them on the wheel of Olav Koy into this final turn. Therefore, on exiting the turn with 800 metres to go, there was a group of sprinters looking at each other, not wanting to take up the chase. And when you have somebody like Wout van Aert, the power he has, there's no catching him, even with a headwind. When you have two riders in front of you like that, you're effectively blinded because the sprinter behind, he's so focused on holding the wheel, he's not looking at the corner ahead, he's just looking at the guy in front. First, they would have realised that Wout van Aert had a gap would be when they're not sprinting out of that first turn. And by then, in this situation at least, it was too late. But this was not just a very special stage victory. This has laid down the gauntlet for the GC race. You could see behind the Ineos riders were the ones taking up the chase, then realising that even just a 1 or 2 second gap could be enough to seal the GC. And so we move on to Stage 6, with a clear leader in the general classification, if only by 3 important little seconds. Surely now the other teams will start to look at ways to disrupt the yellow and black dominance. You can follow the stage live on the Road Code Race Centre, where you can track live location and power data.